I was having a heart attack before that.
I bet.
The pool house? That's, I see it as other thing.
He has a great view.
Something for like kids.
Well, you know, that's usually done. One spin of so we'll see what happens.
Definitely is joined us.
Huh? Nick, no, I told him no.
All right. You all look so eager, we might as well start. Good afternoon. Welcome to the May 12, 2022 meeting of the Westhampton Beach Planning Board. We do not have any determinations this evening, so we'll go straight to the agenda.
All right, so application number 1, Marios Nicolaides, that's held over till May 26th. Application number 2, 85 and 105 Montauk Highway, the Corner Restaurant. We need a motion to hold that over to May 26th.
Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Application number 3, Westhampton Inn, 43 Main Street. Jim's requested to hold that over to May 26th. Can I please have a motion?
Motion. Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, Prime Storage, 98 Depot Road. The applicants requested to hold their application over to June 9.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Thank you. 55 Old Riverhead Road and 59 Old Riverhead Road, application number 5. They've requested to hold that over to June 9. Can I please have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Application number 6, Firestar Holdings, 14 Rogers Avenue. They're held over to May 26th. And application number 7, WHBH Real Estate LLC, 7 Beach Lane. Jim is here. No, and I asked you.
Yeah, you did.
Why don't you remind everybody where we stand?
And I think we're pretty close to the end. We're just waiting for health department. I think that the plan has been reviewed by all the professionals and we've responded and reacted to all of those comments. And,
Any new repertoire between you and the neighbors?
no. So if we could just put that over to the 26th.
Make a motion, we hold the application over. Everybody here from the public wants to speak on this application? Make a motion.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next application is number 8, WHB Development Partners LLC, 107 Old Riverhead Road.
Mr. Heron, did you receive Mr. Hill's comments?
Yes, basically I just wanted to update you as to where we are on all fronts and acknowledge received from comments from the village engineer, as well as a couple weeks ago some comments from the building inspector. None of them seem insurmountable or problematic, so we're working on updating the site plan from that perspective. We've been to the trustees and they've adopted and issued the special permit that we needed. We've been to the ARB and I believe you guys should have a report, a positive report from them. So we're close to being finished. So I just wanted to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice looking building, if you say so.
Yes, thank you.
You want, May 26th on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we hold the application over until May 26th. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, number 9, Hampton Synagogue Parish House. Frank Lombardo requested to hold that over to May 26th. Can I please have a motion?
Make a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. The next application is number 10, PGJG Holding Corp., 214 and 238 Montauk Highway, also known as Baby Moon.
Hello, Michael Sedano, architect for the project. We submitted to the board last month showing the changes to the curbing and closing off the entry to the east side of the property and keeping the other two entries on Montauk and Rogers Avenue as the main entrances to the parking. We also submitted a lighting study for the existing lighting for the property, which according to the engineer, he felt it was adequate to illuminate the parking lot. He's unable to be here tonight, but, and we are still seeking permission for 100 seats outdoors for outdoor seasonal dining, which will be taking the seats from inside the restaurant and using them on the outside. So we'll be moved in and out we are redoing the providing handicap access to the site. Relocated the 4 spots that we're putting the dining area in, relocating that to the side, and we're gonna restripe the parking lot as shown.
Just so I understand, so you're proposing, you have 100 seats right now?
Outdoors,
Well, I'm just trying to say, you said you're gonna have 100 seats.
we're asking for 100 seats outdoors.
What do you have now? Indoors?
180.
180? So, you're asking for an additional 100 seats?
No,
That's what I'm trying
it's
to
gonna
clarify.
we're not gonna add any additional seats. We already, spoke to the Board of Health about it, they were okay with it.
So you're capping it at the 180, but
Correct.
there might be 80 inside and 100
Right.
outside, or
But depending on the
75,
day,
105, whatever,
right,
whatever's happening.
we won't exceed that 180.
Alright.
I have a question for you. On SB1, what is the reason for why
That
it's
was-
on the
that was-
angle? I did not
You're 100% right. The engineer gave it to us late, we had it on an angle.
So we were wondering what was driving that.
Driving, we didn't have time to fix it, we had to get it in, so you guys
Okay.
can review it. Otherwise, it's gonna go straight. They'll probably put a grass and some planting along this side here. They'll probably put some grass here, leave it a little strip and just square it off. And then just spread it out a little bit more.
Okay. Just a question.
Yeah, no, the engineer did it, I got it, the day it had to be submitted, I didn't have time to change it.
You're closing you're closing the easternmost curb cut?
Correct,
We were enthusiastic about that.
that's good. Well, we went back and forth a few times, so
Yeah.
finally gave in.
So the date on the current,
That's that one,
this,
that's the ones with the revisions, that still has all the, interior stuff and showing the folding doors and stuff. But that one shows the site plan changes.
point was he was.
This is the old one. I'll look at the new one, and that's why it makes no sense. So what do you're still gonna have an existing area of driveway on the side, between the side of the building.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, he's probably gonna put some grass, cause he's not gonna use that anymore, so
Well, that's what I'm wondering, I don't,
we'll probably grass it
Are you carrying out the
tear
asphalt?
out the asphalt.
at some time, yeah.
But I think then we start impacting on the accessibility.
No, I don't think you're putting it, they're putting, once they close that driveway up, it's not really accessibility.
Yeah, we're putting bollards at that back corner of the building, so no one could come back the opposite way.
It brings, yeah, the only thing I would say, I just don't know. The site has enough drainage, taking out asphalt makes it better. I just don't know how the water's flowing. You know,
Right.
you're not gonna, by doing what you're doing, you're not gonna trap something. There's enough drainage on the site, I don't know what's there, where it is. There must be a basin over there.
To be honest with you, we were just talking about it before, while we're in the meeting, so I haven't even looked at it, what was over there. On that side of the building. It's only like 16 feet wide, it's not substantial.
Yeah, I'm just thinking there must have been something over there, someplace, because that whole side of the building, unless it was coming out on the Montauk Highway, which I doubt.
We're going to the neighbor's property.
Well,
there's
I
gotta
doubt
be a
that
base.
it's raised, there's something, we just gotta figure out what's going on.
Right, if there's a drain there, he's gonna
Yeah.
keep it, we'll just pitch.
Yeah,
Pitch
it's
it
just
towards
gotta
the
be
drain.
pitched so it.
Right, it'll pitch towards the drain, not running off onto the neighbor's property.
Personally, I would prefer you take out as much of the asphalt, maybe from the bollard back.
That's what we were talking about.
Just take that out, just move,
Square off the seating, and from where I have the proposed bollards at the front, take out from that bollard to the back of the building, make
where
that
the
grass.
wheel stop is.
Correct.
The wheel stop.
Correct.
And actually, that might, if you swing that area planted over, actually buys you more room to square that seating.
Right, that's what we're gonna get rid of that angle.
So that actually, so you wouldn't have to take out the asphalt from the bollards forward, because you can make that just enough to receive.
Right, that's, yeah.
So that makes
Well,
sense.
I'm not sure if he's gonna put pavers or you're gonna do concrete, what do you
The
think, under the
concrete,
seating?
after they soak that, everything looks like a big tile.
Otherwise, that would be fine. Anybody else has anything else to?
I'm gonna look at the lighting plan, and I think there was something fluky and it never got, put it down to make it. There was something that wasn't quite right about it, not a big deal.
Okay.
Is
Yeah, it's
anybody-
all the existing lighting, so he just did the lighting testing over there, and those are the numbers he came up with.
I think you're in details,
I'm sorry?
I think you're in just details at this point.
Okay.
I think we're doing still, unless I'm overstating for the rest of the board, I think we're in, you know, the way.
I'll get it.
It complies with the current code.
I think it did, it was just, there's something about the evenness or something that didn't make sense.
Does anybody from the public want to speak on this? I guess you're gonna get comments from Ron.
I'm done.
Done? Alright, so I guess.
Do we wanna see the plan with the angle taken out?
Yeah, we'll correct
update
that.
the site plan.
We'll correct that, show the grassed area.
Before you go through all the effort of redoing the complete plan and making 12 copies and handing them, check with Ron to relieve any of the issues,
I'll
cause I'm
send
looking
an
at the
email
one
through.
one too.
Okay,
The coordinated from I prefer not talking directly to them.
that's fine.
And, you wanna get those technical details worked out before you review the site plan. That's
Right.
the point.
Right.
Yep. But I think you're in the zone.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
So can we hold you to May 26th?
So you need more time.
Or do you need more time?
No, let's do May 26th.
Make a motion?
All in favor? Alright. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks good. Look forward to
Appreciate it.
Nice to see.
All right, so the next application is Westhampton Equity Group LLC, 1222 and 80 Montauk Highway, 11 Old Riverhead Road.
Good evening for the applicant, room for Consumer Road, Westhampton Beach, New York. Ryan Jansen, one of the principals, and the applicant is here, as well as Brian Grogan from our engineering firm. I think when we last left off, we were looking to circulate a notice about reestablishing the planning board as the lead agency.
We sent out the letters to the agencies and nobody said that they wanted. I guess we're gonna assume the agency status this evening.
Yeah. Why don't you do that, please do that resolution.
I make a motion, we accept lead agency.
Favor? Alright.
Now, really the question you've gotta deal with is the determination of significance. Started talking last time, a couple of meetings ago, about whether this would be treated as a new application with a brand new determination, or whether you're gonna look at the old determination and just decide whether that was valid or not. So you can either start there, you can
Well, I
take
think,
a little time and consider the impacts first, it's up to you.
well, I think, I'm just speaking for myself and the general recollection of conversations that I've had at prior meetings, and discussing the contours of the problem. I think the general consensus of the board was that, we thought that given, passage of time, and changing circumstances surrounding the property and the project, and the nature of this project as compared to what was before approved, that there was a general consensus that this was not, it was not a renewal or picking up where you left off, is that we're talking about a new project at this point, which, might be subject to a brand new SEQRA process.
Well,
And I know you submitted.
yeah, I submitted papers, and I'll try not to repeat too many times what I've already repeated several times, but, I wanna start out by saying we're certainly not adverse to, evaluating, changed circumstances, things that have changed. I would suggest to the board that it's my understanding that the mere passage of time is not sufficient enough reason to undo a prior issued SEQRA determination for a project which is essentially the same project and which has already had the benefit of a negative declaration. But even within that context, there is an ability for the board to identify areas that need to be reviewed, and for us to provide analysis relative to those areas without having to go through the protracted process of an EIS and the scoping session, et cetera. I think that the regs provide for such a path forward, which addresses our need to, keep the project moving forward, and addresses your need to identify and review the areas that your professionals or you yourselves identify as areas that need further study, because either they are changed from before, or they're significantly different from before, or were not anticipated before.
Are there any circumstances, and in general practice, this is a hypothetical, are there any circumstances under which a project which may have been reviewed at one time, which received the leg deck, and then for whatever reason as we go forward, years pass, decades pass, possibly, that even though somebody comes back with a similar proposal, that, a POS deck would be in order? I mean, are there any circumstances, or or are you saying that
No, I'm not saying that.
under all circumstances, you just merely have to update the project?
No, there is an exit ramp for that type of a thing as well, but the analysis all starts with the originally granted secret, and passes through a process wherein the board and the board's professionals need to identify substantial changes in the proposed project, substantial new information is discovered, or substantial changes in circumstances related to the project.
And what qualifies as substantial? I mean, what's the criteria?
But I don't know. It's not the passage of time. That's all by itself.
Maybe not by itself,
Right.
but in conjunction with other.
And we think that with the submissions that we've made so far, that we've identified several of those. I mean, the obvious one to us, and I think to you, is the traffic. We submitted a traffic study and then an updated traffic study. We submitted an updated site plan based on preliminary comments that we've already received from the professionals. Depot Road, access, and that type of thing. We submitted, a consistency, analysis for the property that your professionals then commented on, in response. And at least our conclusion about what those responses concluded was that this was really substantially the same project. So it has not the project itself has not substantially changed, from the original submission to this submission. And to the extent that there are unanticipated changes in circumstances, I think we've studied that for you already. But we are certainly open to your identifying for us other areas of concern, and we'll be happy to provide analysis of that as well. But I don't think, while there is a process whereby the original SEQRA can be rescinded, I don't think that the information is there to support that. Obviously, my perspective is an advocate for applicant. But the bottom line is we're not unwilling to look at anything you would like us, reasonably you would like us to look at. And we just see that there is a path that can satisfy our needs and your needs simultaneously.
I'm gonna defer to the rest of the board, I think I've consumed enough. Anybody else wanna chime in with their thoughts?
Well, you want me to frame the decision really that has to be made? Because when we talked about this a month or two ago, the difference between what Jim's proposing and what I suggested as another alternative is that he's saying that you start with the neg deck that was issued way back on the prior project, and you work off of that to determine if any change needs to be taken into account. I suggested that this could be viewed as a new application where the prior decision might inform your current decision, but you don't necessarily have to be constrained by it in a legal sense. I think that's the decision you have to make, is which of those two ways to go, and I'm not gonna push you into either course, but I think that's the decision you need to make. Is this a new application that should be given a new determination, or is this really just a sort of continuation of the prior application where you have to determine if the changes that have occurred since the prior application was active or a new determination?
If I could just, 30 seconds. SEQRA and regs do not speak in terms of applications, they speak in terms of actions. This is an action that has commenced in 2008. Received some form of SEQRA review and approval, but this board has not reached a final decision relative to same. So it doesn't really matter if it's a different application or not. It's the same action.
I disagree with you. I think at some point you abandon an application and then you come back, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years later, it's a new action that has to be determined. That's my view of it.
I mean, has there been any further discussion with the trustees regarding the life cycle of an application like this? I mean, we talked about it briefly about the fact that board members have a life expectancy of 5 years. And
I was hoping for
Wait,
one
wait, wait.
and having 14 years gone by trying to bring an application in that was reviewed by different board members. And
It's definitely up for discussion, it's in the hopper, we talked about. It was entwined with the expiration, renewals, extensions. That section in our code is also includes covenants and restrictions and the enforcement of those covenants, so it became very complicated, and it's being kicked around, and attorneys have to look at it, and we're a very busy village, and we just haven't, I don't know that the trustees are gonna get to that resolution in time for this.
In a way, Rob, this is a little different because they didn't keep it alive for 5 years. They walked away from it. I mean, there's no doubt about
That
that.
was the question, was like, at what point does it, you become an applicant, is deemed abandoned?
Well, it was abandoned. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, so
this hasn't been
at
on your
that point,
agenda for how many years?
If it's abandoned and not renewed within a certain time frame or brought back onto the agenda for a certain time frame.
There's no such concept in the regs or in the case law as far as I can find. It's the same application, it's the same project. And we're not trying to refuse your review, we're trying to solicit from you what you would like us to study to satisfy you as to the impacts of the project.
I mean, the density on Riverhead Road, I mean, Ralph, you've been around, we put that, one unit in there, and now we have another one going in, then we have a subdivision on Depot. The amount of volume of traffic alone.
Significant change, wouldn't you say?
There's
Significant change in that north side of Montauk Highway going up Depot and going up Riverhead Road.
The two big issues of, let's think about Rogers, because that was the last big housing development that he did. The two big issues are traffic and character of the community. Character of the community is a SEQRA issue too, not just a zoning issue. So, Ron's gonna help guide you on the traffic issues, but you also have to consider character of the community. And time does impact character of the community when you have a development here and a development here and a development here. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. It may work to their advantage and it's more consistent with the character of the community. You don't know, but it's not just time. We're not just talking about, well, all other circumstances are 100% identical, but for the passage of 10 years, it's in those 10 years, things did happen in the village that need to be taken into account.
And we have to consider things that will be happening around the village in the future as well.
Things that are contemplated that is part of your SEQRA review.
And as I've said twice now, I think, we have no issue with that. We are just looking to this board to identify those for us, and we'll be happy to engage in conversation about any or all of those things. But we would just like to do it in the context of revised SEQRA as opposed to back to ground zero.
Is there an action we take now? Or do you wanna follow it over? Recently, the agency said, we did not make a determination. That's what
I
I
mean,
thought.
if you wanna put this
You don't
over-
have to decide it now, but, if you wanna start putting the wheels in motion, it's just gonna keep coming up until you make a decision on it. So whether you do it now or 2 weeks from now, it's probably something that needs to be decided so that you can instruct the planner and the village engineer, and you can take that into account, which direction you're going in. They're not that different. I honestly believe that. The two views are not that different. One is just, what are you starting with? Are you starting with a decision and working off of it? Or are you starting fresh, but looking at that decision to help inform you?
Personally, as between the two, I say we start with a new plan and use the old one to inform our process forward. That's my thoughts. And I will defer to the rest of the board, they can listen to that.
I agree with the chairman, this is a new application and deserves a review.
Danny,
through SEQRA.
traffic is one issue, and we know what a traffic study is, and there's an outline for that. And the applicant has already gone there and submitted something that follows what you spoke out. I think you need to focus on community character, which traffic engineers put a straight line to that, to community character. So, if that's the issue, I think you need to think about how you want to deal with that. And that Kyle should be able to help with.
Be it like less housing in this,
Well, I don't know what
In the
what
patio
community
free,
character
I mean,
is.
it's-
There's all sorts of planners will describe what community character is. It's well, you don't put an office building in the middle of a residential area because it doesn't fit. And that's different types of houses fit in. If you're in the middle of an area of all single-family houses, you don't put an apartment building in. It doesn't meet the character of the community. But I don't wanna get into that so
Yeah,
much.
one of the tough things about this too, though, is when you issue a negative declaration, you're doing that largely without public input. And so, especially if you're stuck with a prior negative declaration that was done without most of your input. I'm not sure if anybody, maybe, who was on the board back then? There was two people. So, I mean, that's part of it too, is
Well,
like.
I vaguely recall the conversations around that time, because the development pressures that we're under now and have been for the last several years were just simply not present back then. I mean, patio village was probably almost all, or pretty much predominantly seasonal. And I would say now you have more than a fair amount of people live there full time. There are a lot more full time.
The law that permitted that hasn't changed.
No, I'm just saying that that's the character of the community. Communities change from a generally seasonal to a much more year-round character, where there are a lot more people that are going to be impacted year-round and not just on a periodic basis or for a couple of months. So I you know, what's happened around this particular parcel is completely changed what was under consideration at the time. So I don't want to get into the semantics of whether it's a new application or this. I think there has been a substantial change in circumstances as compared to what was originally proposed. So there was virtually no public participation at the time. A project of this scope, especially considering what we just went through with Rogers Avenue, which is not too dissimilar to this. I would think we owe it to the people of the village, and we also have a representative capacity for to proceed forward with this in a public way, with as much public input as possible. And if it, causes it to go a little bit longer than your client would like, I'm sorry about that, but this is gonna be something that's built and is gonna be there forever. So let's do it right.
Well, my only comment back about that is that I don't want you to take a broad stroke and say that this is the same project as the project at the end of Rogers Avenue. This is a completely different project in a completely different part of town with completely different impacts.
The scope of the project, that one's 50-something units, this is 40 right here. So we're talking about in terms of the number of units, the number of people, the amount of traffic. They're within spitting distance of one another. They're not that far.
And they're all within the guidelines in the code as to the number of units that you can have.
That's what I'm saying, so I think we need to take a good hard look at this.
But we will of course be guided by whatever the board overall decides.
I know I feel, Ralph indicated his, Larry, Michael.
Oh, I like the public to be involved in this. I mean,
Well,
that's the whole, it's just not right. I mean,
Well, I think that probably the biggest issue is that things have changed and the public should have something to say.
the community's changed.
A lot's changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed.
I'm not trying to stop the project, but
Yeah.
We're not,
the people
we
that,
don't stop projects.
what I mean is, we're not, you understand what I mean is,
I understand,
right?
I
But I
understand
think
your perspective on this, I just
the people that live around
see a path
have
forward
nothing
that,
to, if we go ahead with the next step and keep moving forward, the people that are impacted have nothing to say, or don't have any opportunity. And I think,
Well, I think we've made our feelings important clear. I don't think we need to make it, we don't have to vote.
It's not a formal vote, there's nothing to formally vote on.
I think we just,
You're heading toward, you're gonna have to make a determination of significance on this.
so what do you like us to submit to support that?
I think we're gonna wait for a recommendation from our planner, that he has to be guided. Our planner has to know, be aware
What
of
your
what-
concerns are, that's something you have to advise the planner, and he's gonna work with you on.
Assuming that he's gonna be here for next meeting.
Yeah, I don't know otherwise.
I unfortunately will not.
We will.
You will be in the capable hands of Mr. Newball. We'll give it a, So I guess, does anybody wanna speak on, I mean, really, right now, we're not getting into the nitty gritties of anything, it's really more just a general discussion about SEQRA. I think if you last time I was
I have
here.
a couple of questions.
Sure,
We would be
come on
interested
up.
to hear what you have to say.
Come on up.
Thank you for coming.
I'm curious, I'm Ann Smalley, in case anyone doesn't remember, from Patio Villas Community. I'm interested in when the original traffic study was done for this project and when the, new traffic study was done, as was mentioned.
The original traffic study was done in 2008, 2009, and the recent one was done in the last few months.
Yeah.
So this winter,
That was based on data from last report.
One person at a time.
The new traffic study at Ron's request was completed utilizing data from the Beechwood 22 unit subdivision traffic study, which was accepted and reviewed by Ron and the village. So we supplemented the traffic study based on that data for the Patio Gardens project, as that was indicated previously by the board as something of substantial change, which was done.
so that one was done at least a year ago, because I was on the Zoom meetings, when the Beechwood project was being discussed.
Correct, and that data
So-
was then extrapolated for our build years and everything else and submitted to Ron, which Ron again issued some additional comments and prompted our site plan changes on largely on Depot Road with respect to queuing for traffic from the train station.
We also have the JP now going up and down Depot Road about 20 times a day, and it will be continuing to because they can't use the rest of the property anymore because of Amazon coming in. But I know I back up to Riverhead Road, I would get my back windows onto Riverhead Road, and the traffic density there since 2005, when I moved in, and 2008, till now is massively different.
I don't think anybody needs a traffic study. We all know that.
Between all the new businesses that went in up and down Old Riverhead Road and the new gas station and 7-Eleven project that is on the, planning board, agendas, and the, other things that are, going on, or wanting to go in. Also, as to the character of the community, yes, Rogers Avenue is, in a residential community, but it's not on Depot Road where the trains and jeepneys are impacting traffic. And, it is not on, or backing up to Depot Road, like so many of the homes along Riverhead Road, like the Patio Villas community is. So, thank you for, considering the character of the community in this, because the character of the community has, would certainly be impacted by this, and, the high school is right there across the street. And you can imagine 48 townhouses, going in right across from the school.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
And yes, my community is very much interested in being here.
Well, please remind them that if they are unable to or unwilling to come to these, they know that written submissions will be incorporated for record, they are circulated to board members, so if something is comparable, you like something is written, so we welcome.
But when it gets to the special section part of it with public hearings, like Rogers Avenue had,
Well,
There
that,
will be-
we're not sure which way that path is gonna go just yet, but there will be public hearings on the project, certainly. We just don't know in what procedural format.
and that'll be listed in the paper under the community meetings, it's a public hearing and not just kind of meeting like this.
No, it'll be listed on the agenda, it'll be published like every other agenda.
So for ours, it'll stay on this agenda. It won't go in the paper again, because this has already been advertised. The special exception portion of it with the Board of Trustees will follow the same, it'll go in the newspaper. We can, what we did for Rogers Avenue was the mayor or the village clerk told us what meetings they were gonna have them. I believe they held 2. We can, I can let you know in advance, and we can kind of like disseminate it that way.
Public hearings in this room too. with the-
Yeah, it's all in the same building. You'll get info in the paper, and we can let you know, but I think we're kind of a little bit away from that, so.
The other thing you might wanna do, and this might have been before, is with Rogers Avenue, is there were 1 or 2 representatives, if you would, who devised an email chain, and they would be the point person, so Megan could say, oh, this is being held over, we're not doing anything tonight,
So when you don't have to
Right,
come.
well,
no, we don't
I-
have 50 people showing up just to go home. So
All right,
that might be something you wanna pursue.
okay, so call Megan to find out if it's a public hearing or just.
Or, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I won't know until I don't know anything about what the clerk does or when she schedules it or how she schedules it. I don't know if they've even applied for it yet, so.
But that's before the trustees, I mean, we're still gonna be here for a while, so.
Okay, great. And then
I don't think
more
you're gonna be back at the trustees anytime soon.
right, and more residents will be back because summer
Well,
is
that's
arriving,
fine.
so
That's
that'll be
fine.
more people who can come. Thank
But
you.
I would urge you to reach out to your neighbors, find out who's interested in being kept appraised, and then develop an email chain so that you can keep them, or somebody can keep
Okay.
them all advised.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else wish to speak on the application at the moment? No. Alright, so I guess we'll hold you over to the 26th, and we'll have that, they'll have that conversation.
I make a motion, we hold the application over until the 26th.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next application is number 12, George Vickers, 25 and 27 Hazelwood. That's held over till May 26th. The next application is going to be a fill application, 282 Dune Road LLC. This is a continuation from last month. Phil, this is a continuation from, are you asking if you got anything?
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, this is a continuation from last month. They submitted revisions, and then it's just a matter of whether Brad and Ron looked at it.
Ron, Brad, where are we standing on 282?
We had some initial problems,
Yeah, I members of the board, Josh Swag on behalf of the applicant. It's nice to see you all. Yeah, the last application, there was a suggestion by the building department and Ron to update some of the drainage calculations on David Fox's survey to show French drains, as opposed to some of the dry wells that we were showing in terms of being considerate to the groundwater elevations. We have done that. We've also added additional pervious driveway notes on our application. All drainage applications are on the amended survey, May 3rd, 2022, submitted to the village. We're showing substantial drainage and French drain considerations for not only the runoff from the roofs and storage of that, but also for the actual proposed pervious gravel driveway. We've completely re-engineered, this system, and that's what we're here for today.
Okay.
so we're gonna hold you over.
Sure, that sounds like a great idea.
We could do it this.
That is a model of brevity if I've ever heard of.
So we're gonna hold you over until the 26th.
Anybody want to speak on 282 Dune Road before we hold this over? No.
Make a motion, we hold the application over in anticipation of determination.
All in favor? See you on May 26th.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thanks. The next application is number 14, 213 Dune Road LLC. Michael Nobiletti's requested to hold that over to May 26th.
Make a motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the next application is number 15 on the new applications, 165 Oneclean LLC, 165 and 167 Oneclean.
Did this get re-notified?
Yes. So the applicant, David Gilmont Jr., Greenberg Troy, I'm appearing on behalf of the applicant, who is a contract vendee for lot number 1 of the Lawrence Beach subdivision, 2-lot subdivision done by this board. Our contract is contingent on this board amending a condition to its decision that would allow us to take access from the northerly access on lot number 2. We have that condition. We have an agreement with lot number 2, who is the seller of lot number 1, that would allow us to get that access. Do you need copies of the map?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, walk us through where we are and walk us through what you want to get to.
Can I approach? Here's lot number one, or a contract for lot number one here. This is lot number two. Your decision restricts our access in writing to the southerly, access, right? We have, made an agreement with lot number two, pending closing, that we could take access off their driveway and then access our lot. We think that's a better way to access it. Our contract is contingent on it. If you look at your decision, you state that we have to take access off the southerly access, and the reasoning for that is you do not want an additional curb cut. Our resolution of this is that we wouldn't add an additional curb cut, and that we would take the access then off of one that exists for lot number two now. I don't know that you intended to restrict us on lot number two. I think the intention was to restrict lot number one, access right here, where it has a pretty significant, lot frontage. So again, there will be no additional curb cut here. We'll be taking it off, and I think that's consistent with what your, decision required. There's also a covenant that was filed that contains the, language that mirrors your decision. So,
We're talking about originally access was gonna be off,
We're not gonna use the roadie's driveway.
the pole anymore, right?
Well, we own that lot number one owns that, so we might use it to access a garage, but we would like the main access to go up to lot number two's driveway.
So we're not eliminating the curb cut per se.
Well, no, because there are other lots that take access off of that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right, but you're just spreading it now over,
And there will be no additional
curb cut.
curb cut on Oneclean.
I don't think there's any real difference to anybody in the community here. It's just that language, and it's, I wondered whether we should be here right now, and I know that staff spoke to your council, because it is a private agreement between us to take that access, but, the language is, a little bit concerning if somebody were to protest it.
Well, it seems to be keeping in spirit with what the planning, concerns were. It probably isn't that.
My recollection was that the neighbors were concerned about lot two taking access off of that existing driveway. That was one of the concerns, and then the other concern was not having an additional curb cut, so I don't see any problem from what we did back then. Just
I remember
the
Bruce
language.
Albert saying that, about that, what you're just saying.
Yeah, and their plan would at least alleviate some traffic off of that shared driveway, so it might even be a better plan.
Well, certainly, forecloses, at least for now, an additional curb cut.
Well, your decision in the covenant is clear that there's no additional curb cut. That's
Yeah, I don't
not
know how
happening.
else you were supposed to do it, frankly.
I mean, that's not gonna happen, so I think it is consistent with.
Lot one will not have access to the roadie drive.
I'm not sure what the roadie driver is.
It's
That's-
southern,
no.
southern
drive.
drive. Southern drive.
It will, because it owns it, right? Lot number one is the fee title owner. No, lot number two. Lot number one owns it. Lot number two is precluded from coming on that southerly access by your decision.
Okay, so there's no access on the northern driveway that goes to lot two, there's no access to lot one.
Correct. That's what we're asking you to approve.
So we're not adding any, I mean, we're not really changing anything.
You're adding a branch off the driveway there.
That will, once it gets on to lot number two, there are some
branch it off.
utilities there that we have to come in and around and branch off, correct?
The important thing was not to add a
Entry on lot one? What?
The important thing when we had that whole discussion was not to add another driveway. And this plan does not add another driveway. This is fine. The I think when we had the original discussion, the driveway is now gonna access, I don't think they wanted, I think they wanted their own driveway, maybe they changed that.
Yeah, I think there's a new owner.
Yeah.
Is my recollection.
This plan's fine.
You wanna come up?
I said, whenever you address the public, I just had a question, clarification.
You have to please just step up.
Are you ready for that?
Yes, please.
The owner of 163. And,
I'm sorry, what was your first and last name?
Oh, sorry, James Bronner, and my wife Margaret Bronner on this 163 on it. I wasn't here for the original hearing on the driveway, so we just wanted to clarify that this, I have no concerns about using lot 2, the driveway that's proposed. I just couldn't understand whether or not the driveway would be circular all the way around the subdivision.
Seem like there's a passage.
It won't, that's not the point.
Well, currently it is, but there's circulation around, between lot 2, lot 2
On lot,
circulation.
on lot 2, but, again, we're here on lot 1. I've read your decision in the covenant filed, and, lot 2 is precluded from having a circular driveway, and lot 2 is precluded from accessing the southern access.
To me, that's a new arrangement, a new construction.
That's not a planning issue per se.
I'm saying, it currently accesses.
It does, but it's not going to anymore.
So, that's been a decision made.
Right.
Okay, and then the property on lot 1 will have access by either the southern driveway or the northern driveway, but not in a
If the
circular
board
fashion.
so decides.
But not in a circular fashion.
No.
Two
You
accesses.
said, not to interrupt, you said either or, my understanding, just to clarify this, is the northern driveway is for lot 2, and the southern driveway is for lot 1.
No, the northern driveway is for lot 1 also.
Right.
That's what we're asking.
That's what I'm
You
saying
want-
is that.
He wants to have
Both.
access to this lot number 1, both of this driveway, and he already has access from this driveway.
Okay,
The
that
southern,
was my misunderstanding before, I thought it was single, but it's not.
That's my concern.
and the southern driveway provides access to other properties.
Well,
That's
I
correct.
mean, realistically, how does
Is that through an easement or?
Yes.
So we can't close that.
Well, yeah, you're gonna,
So-
landlocked,
so-
yeah.
So that southern driveway is gonna have to stay no matter what we think. So really the only issue is.
But that's only going to a garage. It's
Correct.
not a
That-
circular driveway.
No, it's
That's
not,
what he's asking.
it's not connecting to
It's
another
not-
So
driveway.
the front
All the
driveway,
way
the north
around.
driveway goes to what? It doesn't go to a garage, where does it go?
It'll go to
The northern driveway is gonna go to the house on lot 2.
Yeah, and that's the front of the house will be
For
facing the.
purposes of lot 1, what is the northern driveway what
It's
is
the main,
service?
they're gonna branch, the driveway, the northern driveway, if you will.
Yeah.
There's going to be another driveway, once you get on presumably to lot 2, at least in
Yeah.
some portion, lot 2, that, the pole. There's gonna be a driveway which branches off of that into lot 1,
To the front of that home,
presumably.
and then there'll be a back garage, which could be accessed by the other road?
Exactly.
Is that your understanding?
But those roads will not connect, those driveways will not
But you'll
connect.
still have one home using 2 different driveways.
Well, the one driveway we can't do anything about, because the southern driveway actually provides access to other residences.
No, I know, but I'm saying by
And
granting this
belongs
approval,
to
you
that
give,
lot.
by granting approval, you allow this home to have 2 access points.
Right.
2 driveways versus 1.
Two shared ones, they're both shared, they would then both become
Right.
shared access points. I shouldn't have said anything, never mind. You're looking at me like deer in the headlights.
No, my point is, it just seems like it would make more sense to have lot 1 have 1 access point off of driveway 2, along with lot 2, and then the other 3 or 4 homes utilize the same road.
Yeah, but they own
They own
that driveway, you cannot tell them they're not allowed to use their own property to access the road.
Right, so in this case, it's given an additional access.
Either way, it alleviates some traffic off of the shared driveway.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know whether you would presume that to use the garage, you can use the southern driveway. Depends on how often the owner uses the garage, or the front circular driveway. Thanks for clarification.
I suspect once in practice, you won't even notice the difference.
I don't think we need traffic study. We can just keep copying the same one that was good.
It's been a lot of changed circumstances.
Wait a second.
Do we have to do a resolution or can?
I think you do. Well, what do you need?
Well,
Do you need to amend the covenants for your purposes?
I mean, the best thing that we could do is file a clarifying covenant, right? That would cover us, I think, the best.
I think it would too, so that way your future owners would have.
There's no issue and no discussion concluded. So that's ultimately what we'd ask.
Tony, can we condition that the southerly driveway and the northerly driveway could never meet? This way it doesn't throw the other condition into.
I mean, you could, they're saying it won't. I guess the question is, are you offering it or?
We could agree to that.
You wanna agree to that?
We can agree to that.
The original intent was the back house would never use the southerly portion, so if they pull onto their driveway and then they go through this lot to the southerly portion, this board made them remove their access.
I remember.
They were going to tear up like 20.
You know, I get it. That would be a way to ensure that never happens.
Yeah, we'd agree. It's not the intent.
So what's our right?
Legally,
We'll
work
do,
out the details.
why don't we do a resolution modifying we'll do it in writing though.
Yeah.
I think modifying the subdivision approval and authorizing the amendment of the covenants, and then you can prepare. You guys are your contract NDs?
Yes. We'll prepare it and have the owners sign.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you need as far as timing goes, we can do that pretty quickly.
So we'll draft something and get it to you to review. And we'll
Just do a limited amendment, just of condition whatever it is, and propose exactly how you want it.
Okay. Perfect.
All right?
All right.
Yes.
You good for the 26th?
Yeah, that's great.
Make a motion?
Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
All right, so the next application, Robert Schoenthal, 22 Bayfield Lane.
Richard P. Hayes for the applicant. First, we're in the zoning board for a variance in order to create these two lots. That decision I would anticipate would take place next week. I thought this was actually going to be an answer. So before the decision of the zoning board, it's a basic two-lot subdivision. I really don't have much to say about it. I know the neighbors are complaining about it, and you can listen to the neighbors. I'm coming up with two lots, 140,000 square feet, the other 57,000 square feet.
What changes in structures, though, that are being?
Excuse me?
What changes in structures?
No, I'm sorry. The one thing we have to resolve before you can approve this is on what I would consider the vacant lot. There is a tennis court and there is a garage. We're either going to have to come to an agreement to remove that before you finally approve it, or we would have to get some sort of a variance from the zoning board. I'm aware of that. We have to do that. I just haven't had a chance to discuss it with my client because he's in Florida and he's coming up and we will discuss that with him.
There's really no action on our part at this time. We've got to finish CBA.
Well, unless you have comments on the subdivision, you might, I don't know if Kyle's got the chance to look at it.
From square footage standpoint, does it conform to the code?
Yes, the only variance that was identified was the new proposed line, creates a substandard side yard from the existing house. But the northerly lot meets the width and the area from the code.
There may be some covenant or something that we want to put on about where the driveways go.
About what?
Certain where the driveways go. I think the easterly property, the driveway is properly placed as far away from that curb as it is, so I think that's fine. I wouldn't want to see it move. And,
the driveway's coming in off the Bayfield. Yeah, there's a driveway coming in off the Bayfield with reference to the two lot subdivision, with reference to the garage.
Yeah.
There's also a driveway coming off of Stevens.
I think the one off of Stevens, I think is where, that's the existing driveway for the main house.
Correct.
And that's where it should be. It should, move around that place.
Wouldn't touch that.
No. The other one probably should get further away from Stevens if possible.
Should get what?
Further away from Stevens if that's possible.
How much further can you go? Well, the tennis court is probably going to be removed. Say.
The tennis court's gonna have to be removed.
Yeah.
Unless I got a variance for it, because it's gonna be in the front yard.
And you've got this one
Right, so I
story
don't,
thing
it'd be in the side yard and the front yard, so that really can't exist. The garage could technically exist because it's gonna be 20 feet off the rear lot line. So, but we have to deal with those two. And you're telling me to do something with the,
I'll look at it again. The one for the existing house is fine. That's exactly what you want.
But if you're saying.
but I'm not sure what you're saying as to the other one, because if we have a separate vacant lot, that driveway isn't, part of it may be used for the new house, but most of it is.
Yeah,
Ron, if you wanted the driveway to be a certain distance from the
I'll
intersection,
look at it,
you
yeah.
should kind of create a distance, because otherwise,
Okay.
a future owner could completely change around the plan.
Yeah, I'd want to.
You have to set forth something, right?
Okay,
right.
I'll do that.
And then you can put it in the covenants at least.
Yeah.
You wanna move it further away from Stevens?
I think so, yeah.
So almost like a mirror image of what's on the other lot, just run it up against the.
Let me look at it again. I
Northerly
remember
property.
looking at the
Anything
plan.
that you're gonna come up with that's reasonable, I don't have a problem with that, just, you're gonna have to tell me what you wanna do.
Yeah, it'll be the safest thing to have.
I take it we have some people who should speak about this. Ron, you wanna come on up and share your thoughts?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, you don't have to. I'll save this. You just have to hit stop recording when you're done. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Can't wait. Thank you.
Just to stop recording. 17 Onek Road. My property butts up against this new subdivision in two places, all the way up one side and then across the back part of it. I'm most concerned about, I've already spoken about the character of the neighborhood to the zoning board, and I'm now concerned about my privacy. And what I would really like to know is what assurances do I have that there's gonna be substantial screening between the new property and mine? And what's the next step here? I mean, nothing's approved, I'm assuming, as of right now.
Until the zoning board speaks, we don't have.
Okay, all right, I
We
spoke
have
before.
one issue there. Until
Okay.
they speak, we're really kinda
Okay.
stuck.
So it'll just continue on and then I'll get notices and I can come to each of those?
Well,
No, she's not gonna get any more
not
notice.
getting my notices.
You're
I'm sure-
notified
I'm
tonight
sure-
when it's gonna be on again.
Oh, okay, that's fine, and I look at the agendas on the website all the time.
It'll be on the agenda. I would check with Megan before the meeting to see.
Okay,
anything's happening.
thank you, but I'd like that to be part of the consideration.
And if you want, just so we have it, you might wanna submit something in writing.
I will be happy
And
to.
that way it's in the file, so if you aren't here for whatever reason.
Oh,
I know.
I'm sure I'll be here unless I'm like sick.
I'm just saying, in case something happens, at least we'll have your comments in the record.
Is this gonna be another May 26th? You guys are gonna be here for hours that night.
-1.
I couldn't
I'm gonna be in Turks and Caicos, I don't know about everybody else.
I couldn't believe it. Hold over till May 26th. Thank you for considering this.
Well, May 26th?
Yeah, in the
Well, wait,
interest
when's the zoning board gonna?
They're meeting next week,
Next week?
and it was put over for a decision for next week.
So you'll go-
I would suggest that it be put on for the
June 9th.
June 9th.
Alright, that makes more sense.
I make a
Yes,
motion.
Brad, wait, go on.
It's an unlisted action. he's gonna entertain the health department, which he needs to do, you have to do something secret.
Well, the zoning board's gonna do a secret.
Zoning's gonna do a secret, so they're gonna
He
go.
could use that,
Okay.
assuming you know what it's probably gonna be.
Yeah.
He can get going on health department that way.
Motion.
I make a motion, we hold over to June 9th.
All in favor? Aye.
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Brad, darling,
Hold on one second, please.
yes.
Yeah.